Now, I want to come back and have you elaborate on the distinction between those two, but let me just ask the entire panel. As you think about how ubiquitous location is today, presumably the consumer, again, is unforgiving. I want to be able to locate and then use that location in combination with a variety of services. Are we at 50%, 80%, 20%? Give me a sense of how ubiquitous in the US you believe location determination is. Anyone want to go first?
Yeah, I think it's a good question to ask the developers, right? I mean, we from our side are exposing everything that we can.
All right.
So we announced network APIs a couple of weeks ago. So these are APIs that a server-side application can use to locate a user. And we make those APIs, very generic. They are exposed via RESTful interfaces that, developers know how to use. And then we do the same thing on the handset side to enable, applications where on handsets where, the user can locate himself so he can find relevant, services around him. And we package that all in a very, easy to use fashion so that the developer does not need to know, about location, about maps, and, they can just use that. So I think once that level of exposure is there, I think it really makes things very easy and very uniform for
so
the development
the capability is there for ubiquitous location determination.
Yeah, it's there today.
Okay, all right, very good. Others, would you agree, particularly in terms of urban canyons or indoors, or are the operators' capabilities and solutions sufficient to give you location determination in all locations?
Yeah, I would say that if you look at the RTLS market and some verticals, for example, healthcare, then there the story is a little bit different. But
and you might elaborate real-time location. Tell the audience, if you will, what you mean by that. RTLS.
Yeah, real-time location systems market, which is primarily focusing on enterprise. So then, if you look at the verticals, there like a healthcare, then I would say adoption is roughly maybe 35%, 40%, where hospitals are adopting this today. But then if you look at the horizontal market and the cell phone market adopting the indoor location, then that is really, really low at the moment.
And the reason being? And
the reason being that I would say the killer app has been is the 911, if you're a high-rise building, so you know that you are in this building, but which floor. So that's the obvious one. But then there are all kinds of nice-to-have applications there, and there may be additional experiences you can create. But maybe it's been missing one big driver for that indoor application. There are.
And what do you think the one big driver is?
Well, there are some interesting things coming up in the retail market. For example, we can with the phone we can know which aisle we are, and we can have some push marketing or navigation and information with the cell phone there.
So this is what we've seen in Best Buy and Myers, Thrifty Acres, those kinds of applications?
Yeah, those kind of things. But I would still say that the first thing to adopt here in the cell phone side is the 911 for indoor.
Now let me ask a naive question. It's a little technical, and I'm a low-tech guy, so help me understand this. The Best Buy solution works on the basis of some sort of audible transfer between the device and Best Buy's location solution. Is that
well,
correct?
The Best Buy solution, for example, would be Best Buy or whatever retail store chain anyway. So if you had a phone with the Wi-Fi, you get in the Best Buy store, and then it identifies that you are in a Best Buy store because your phone has a Wi-Fi radio, and it can see Best Buy SSID network name. So then it can start using the Best Buy application there to provide you some services and the guidance.
I thought the ShopKick application worked with something other than Wi-Fi, but it does use ShopKick. Is that one that others are familiar with? My understanding, and someone can correct me, but I believe Best Buy has implemented something from ShopKick that somehow detects an audible signal as the consumer is close to or enters the store. And I was wondering whether they had adopted a Wi-Fi based solution or not.
Yes, sorry, I wasn't even aware of that.
Okay.
Maybe because that's not Wi-Fi. So.
All right. Other big breakthroughs, what do you see on the horizon?
I think one of the areas to make the pervasive use of location, even though we can solve the availability, it's going to be also content. And if you look at it, I don't want to devalue the value of maps, but maps are content. And today, there are no maps for indoor space. Right? All the maps that we see today are all for outdoors. And then if you look at how much of the space, square footage wise, is indoors versus outdoors, then the maps that we have today are probably only 20% of the overall content that we need for this experience to be pervasive. And so that to me is actually one of the missing pieces. So whereas we have Navtech and we have Google, all of this content is actually outside. We don't have it inside. And so that's the scope, I think, for also, some entrepreneurs to go and actually make and capture this space and be the next Navtech or Google.
So what do you think the key is to that? I know we have CloudMate here, and perhaps there are other solutions to this indoor mapping problem. Is it crowdsourcing? How do you see maps being filled in for all of these unmapped locations?
Just to note that when we are in that indoor market, we are servicing, for example, one hospital campus or hospital chain of different campuses, then obviously our solution to that is that facilities management will provide maps to us. And then that will be in our system for that private enterprise to increase the efficiencies with this location information. But for the horizontal market, then the dilemma is exactly what Ashu is saying. So.
Interesting. So the businesses themselves, the enterprises, can provide blueprints or layouts that you use.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Very good. All right. Other breakthroughs in addition to indoor that either of you would like to highlight?
I'm just going back to the earlier comment I made. I think it's critical that when the new applications are being developed, and for example, Verizon comes up with new network APIs and things like that, there'll be new application developers who will be deploying these applications and building these applications. And for that, a platform is very much required, which can actually bring to the masses. That's A. But today, if you look at all the location-based consumption is being done at the high end of the platforms. That most likely will change as the cost of chipsets go down and as the cost of platforms will go down. But that's very critical for the penetration of the ubiquitous penetration of the location-based services, in my opinion. And that's what the trend, we will contribute to it, and some of that will come from moving the smartphone platforms, for example, into the feature phone market segments.